Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to show you how to resize a virtual hard drive for VirtualBox. So in the last video we created a Ubuntu VM with an 8 GB hard drive, which is pretty good, but it's not very big. So in order to resize it, you can see here it says it's got 8 GB. What we're going to do first is we're going to locate it. So if we go to our home folder, go to VirtualBox VMs, it's right here. I named mine second Ubuntu. And here's our .vdi file. And mine, it's not actually full, but we're still going to resize it just because we can. So you're going to need to make note of where it is in your file hierarchy. So I already did some experimentation with this. The command we're going to be using is called vboxmanage, and it lets you modify your basically anything to do with VirtualBox. So it comes bundled with a program, no need to install other stuff. So we're going to do vboxmanage, modifyhd, and then here you're going to have to put the absolute path to this .vdi file. So what we're going to do is start with the slash users slash whatever your username is slash virtual box, and then to put a space in the path you do \space vms slash second ubuntu slash second ubuntu .vdi. So now that that's in there, the argument you're going to put is -- resize, and then the size in megabytes of how big you want it to be. So it's currently set to 8 GB. Let's make it 10, which is 10,240 megabytes. So you just hit enter. Should go pretty quick. So now it's like that. If we go into here and we boot up our Ubuntu, it's not going to let us use all 10 immediately, and I'll explain why. What it's doing is, when it's looking at the hard drive, it's seeing that you have the initial 8 GB partition, and then you basically just made 2 extra gigabytes at the end with no partition assigned to it. Now, in order to see this, we're going to need to install a tool. So just open up your terminal, Control-Alt-T, run sudo apt-get install gparted, and put your password. It's not a particularly large download, but this will let us manage and modify our partitions. I was thinking about just trimming out this waiting time, but it looks like it's actually going fairly quickly tonight. So alright, so now it's installed. We're just going to run gparted. Okay, sudo gparted. And it'll bring up this thing. So here's your main hard drive. Like I said, /dev/sda1. And here is a it's called a Linux swap partition, but you don't have to worry about that. And here is your new space you added on. Since we set the size to 10 and it used to be 8, we essentially added 2. Now, since the computer is currently booted, we cannot modify these. That's why this little key is here. And because it's actually using the data that's in /dev/SDA1 to run the operating system. So how do we modify this? Well, what you're going to do is we're going to go and hit Devices, CD DVD Devices, and select the same ISO, or really any Linux ISO, preferably Ubuntu, from the from your devices list. So you're telling it we want to boot to a CD. Now you're going to go to Machines, Reset, Reset. And so now it's trying to boot from the CD. Just verify, you can see the little check here. And see how it's kind of got more of a old school kind of blocky letter look to it. So that's how one way you can tell that it's booting from the CD instead of installed on the hard drive. So now that this is coming up, what's interesting is that gparted comes on the ISO file, but it does not get installed when you install it on the virtual hard drive. So we're going to hit try Ubuntu because we just need access to gparted from the ISO file and not from our hard drive. So now we're here. Going to go to dash home, type in gparted. We're going to run it. Now, notice this time that only these two have keys on them. And the thing is that's just because they are part of the Linux swap partition. So what we're going to do is we're going to select them and hit swap off. So that's going to unlock them for the ability to edit. So the reason we can't just expand this one, see if we go to resize, we can't just make it bigger, is because these aren't sequential. It's not this, then this, then this. It's, like this. And before I go any further, I want you to note that this SDA1 has the boot flag, meaning whenever the computer starts, it goes to this partition first. So now let's start. We're going to extend this to take up all this unused space. And the purpose of that is so that we can move this brown one, which is like inside of the blue one, we can move it over. And you can ignore this because it does not have the boot flag. You don't want to move the one with the boot flag. So now we've got the blank space next to the SDA1, but we need to shrink the blue one again. So we'll just shrink it back over. So now we've got this unallocated right next to the SDA1. So one more little fix, resize it, move it over, and bam, there you go. So now you hit apply. You should definitely back up your .vdi files before this, but since I don't have anything on this one, I don't care. Alright, and there you go. So now if we restart the machine, okay, see, it's still in the CD mode. So we're going to have to remove disk from virtual drive and then do another reset. So now we're booting into the hard drive instead, just to see if we have access to all 10 gigabytes of our hard drive. Alright, so now you do Control-Alt-T to open up a terminal, df-h. Now we have 4.8 gigabytes available, which is significantly larger than the 2.8 we had earlier. So that's about it for this video. If I was unclear during any part, please let me know in the comments. The two commands we used to resize the .vdi file and to install gparted will be in the video description. Thank you, and I hope you learned something.